Is your super safety or your forced reset trigger illegal again? This is kind of scary news, and normally I leave the news stories for my Sunday videos, but I think that this affects, well, an awful lot of us, and so I felt like it was time to talk about it as quickly as I could get a video out. And once again, the ATF is up to their usual, always taking fun, because what we're talking about are things that are really fun. Super safeties, forced reset triggers. A man was just arrested about 3 weeks ago at a range in Virginia, Silver Eagle shooting range, I believe it's called. By the way, fuck those guys. They snitched on him, they ratted him out. Now what he was doing, maybe not great range etiquette, but at the same time, this man is now facing up to 5 years in prison for a forced reset trigger. Very, very brief history here of the FRT trigger and what it is. I'm sure most of you guys already know this, but it is not a machine gun. It is absolutely not a machine gun. In fact, I could demonstrate one here on the channel, but every time the bolt cycles, it forces the trigger to reset. Forced reset trigger. When the bolt goes home, it lets you fire again. So it lets you fire very, very quickly as long as you keep rearward pressure on the trigger, but it is legally semi-automatic because the statutory definition of automatic is multiple rounds for single function of the trigger. With an FRT or super safety, the trigger has to function for every round fired. Now, we all know this. It's logical and it makes perfect sense if you understand how firearms work. Most of the people making laws and many of them enforcing laws do not understand how firearms work. They just see a lot of bullets coming out very fast and assume that means that something is a machine gun. Now, there was a big case about this. Rarebreed triggers, they fought the ATF for like 2 years and they got a settlement. And in the settlement, well, the Rarebreed FRT 15 was deemed a semi-automatic trigger and fully legal, and they're selling them. Well, I've watched a couple other channels and their takes on this guy's arrest recently for an FRT, and they're saying that maybe what that settlement means is that only the Rarebreed branded FRT is actually legal, and anything else is considered an illegal machine gun. But that doesn't make much sense to me because, again, the statutory definitions, and they do all function the same way. There are hundreds, I would say, of companies now making super safeties and versions of forced reset triggers, not only for the AR platform, but for many other things. Video coming soon on the MP5. So let's get to what happened here. Well, this guy, he is 3D printing his own FRTs. Now, I have a reason to believe that these are super safeties he's 3D printing. I could be totally wrong. There are a lot of designs out there now, and maybe his is a different design of a forced reset trigger type design. Either way, it functions in the same basic way of forcing the trigger to reset when the bolt cycles. He couldn't get it to function in his own rifle, so he went to Silver Eagle shooting range and rented one of their rifles, opened it up, attempted to drop in his 3D printed FRT device. The range safety officer caught him, kicked him out. That much I can kind of understand. Okay, you're probably not supposed to modify rental firearms. But instead of just kicking him out, he called the cops on him, and the guy got raided by the ATF and the local law enforcement agencies and has been arrested now for possession of an illegal machine gun, which, again, we all know just from the first couple minutes of this video that a forced reset trigger is not a machine gun. Well, this guy just got charged as if it is. This is not supposed to be going on anymore. They're not supposed to be. In fact, the ATF was told that they have to send people's FRTs that they confiscated back to them and send them like an I'm sorry letter for taking your shit. But this guy now is facing 5 years in prison for this. What does this mean for the rest of us? This video is sponsored by Venice AI. If you're not on the AI train yet, you are missing out. And you know what? I was one of those people missing out for a very long time. I'm always kind of a late adapter to these things, but AI is honestly amazing. The stuff that you can do with it is absolutely incredible. It's a very powerful tool for just about anything in your life. I keep finding more and more amazing things you can do with it. The thing is, though, is that things like ChatGPT and stuff like that, they're actually stealing your information and they're selling it. The former director of the NSA is on the board of ChatGPT. That's not a good thing. You know, Google and stuff like that, you know, Facebook, whatever, they listen to you and they advertise to you based on what you say. Well, what else are these things doing with your information? They're selling it to third parties, including governments. You don't, especially if you're a 2A person, you don't really want the government listening in on your conversation. So that's where Venice AI comes in. They're a full AI platform, but they are private and permissionless, meaning that they don't sell any of your information to anybody else. It's totally private. You get all of the benefits of AI without those downsides. So you might as well try it out. Now, if you use my link, that's venice.ai/sawtooth-tactical, you can get 20% off on your pro plan. The pro plan is the way to go. There's just a ton more that you can do with it. You can use all the tools that AI has to offer. And I mean, by now, AI can do so much for your productivity, for your organization, your creativity. Just check it out. It's amazing what you can do. Again, 20% off with code SawtoothTactical at venice.ai/sawtooth-tactical. So the first thing I want to say is this is terrible for this guy. I do think he made kind of a poor decision trying to drop this thing into a rental firearm. At the same time, that should have been it. Maybe kicked out of the range for, breaking their rules. But arrested and charged with possession of machine guns. And more than that, like they went to his house, they found a bunch of these 3D printed FRTs, 3D printers, spools of filament, a bunch of firearms. Nothing that's illegal really though. Now, he was in the District of Columbia. So, they're kind of like California there. Things that are totally legal here, not necessarily legal there. But FRTs are legal federally. What does this mean now for the rest of us? See, a ton of people have super safeties and FRTs now. Does this really mean that only the Rarebreed branded FRT is legal? Because part of that settlement is that Rarebreed, has to enforce their patent, which basically means that the government doesn't want anybody else making these things, and that they wouldn't make them for handguns. Well, a lot of other people are making force reset triggers, but different designs than Rarebreed. Designs, that don't infringe on their patent. And then there is the super safety, which is a totally different design, works in a totally different way, but accomplishes the same goal. Now, Rarebreed Triggers is, of course, suing a lot of makers of super safeties and other FRT type devices. And there are companies making them for handguns. And we've all seen the Taurus TX22 videos, right? There's a lot of people making these, a lot of people selling these, and a lot of people that own them now. The place where I go shooting, where you guys see in my videos all the time, it's a beautiful spot to go shoot. There's no rules there, but it is technically designated as a shooting range area. There are no range officers, there are no fees. You just go out there, you set up your own targets, and you do what you want. Well, when these super safeties and FRTs first started being a thing, companies started sending them to me to review on the channel. I was usually the only person out there firing that quickly. Well, now, almost every time I go out, somebody seems like they have one of these things. I was filming the video last weekend for this thermal here, and the next guys down the way were definitely either shooting a super safety or an FRT, or they have a transferable or an SOT, if you know what I mean. And I've been hearing that a lot lately, a lot of rapid fire. These things are very popular, and for good reason. They're freaking awesome. That's the other thing about the other videos I saw about this is, these guys' takes are like, I don't see the point in these things. I do. they're freaking awesome. They're fun as hell. And the other thing is that we have the right, or at least we should have the right, to have whatever we want firearms related. The Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. And while it is not illegal, but difficult to get full autos because transferables are very expensive because they capped them in 1986 with the Hughes Amendment, or you have to have an SOT, well, FRTs and super safeties have put a very, very similar capability in the hands of the average American. And I think that that's really important. Whether it's the most effective way to use a gun defensively isn't really the point here. The point is that it is our right to have that capability. And so a lot of people are exercising that right. But is everybody at risk now of getting arrested for having machine guns, machine gun conversion devices, whatever they want to call them? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Either way, kind of sets a scary precedent because this guy could win this case. But the process is the punishment. You see, he's going to have to hire a lawyer. That's going to cost a lot of money. He's in jail. And so even if he wins, he still spent that time in jail. He still got charged with all this stuff. All of his guns got confiscated. And it's going to cost him a shitload of money. So how is that a win even if he wins? I'm sure you don't want to go through that, and neither do I. So this is kind of a scary thing because they're not supposed to be enforcing this. These things have been deemed to be legal. Or, like the other couple YouTube channels that I watched, do you guys think that the only ones that are legal are the Rarebreed version? The way that I read it, and I think most other people, is that forced reset triggers are legal because of the way they work. They reset the trigger, and there is a single function of the trigger for each round fired, which makes it not a machine gun. I mean, I think if it read as in only the Rarebreed FRT was the one that was deemed to be legal, would there be all of these companies that have started up that have businesses and websites and advertise that sell super safeties or their version of FRTs, the Arizona regulators, these different things? I mean, that's a big risk to take if what you're selling is an illegal machine gun. Otherwise, there would be a ton of websites selling auto sears to people without SOTs, and you don't see that. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are we all safe? Is it all good? Or is this something we have to worry about? I want to know what you guys think. I appreciate every comment. I try to reply to as many of them as I can. Even when I'm at work, I see the comments come through. I might not have time to reply, but if you see me hit like, I did read your comment. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you're subscribed. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.